Where is the fruit? Men, have you ever felt like you have been doing the work, putting in the time, and doing what God is calling you to do, asking you to do, and you're not seeing the fruit? If I'm being honest, this is exactly how I was feeling today, and I was struggling this morning. Just it it was a rough morning, to say the least. And I've been maybe not hyper aware of just kind of the ups and downs, where yesterday I was feeling really positive and at peace with where everything is, and then today, there's just this attack or whatever, but I was feeling down, just feeling like there's nothing going my way. And reading through the Psalms recently, you see this even in David, where there's days where he's praising God, and then there's times where he feels like he's the scum of the earth, essentially. And as I was going through my prayer, I was reminded of a couple things. First, this morning I did a prayer stack, a Bible stack, where I read the scripture in 2 Corinthians 12:9, and it states, God's grace is sufficient for us. So no matter what trouble we're going through, no matter what we feel like we may need physically, mentally, spiritually, God's grace is sufficient. And when we focus on God's grace and we trust God's plan, like we're gonna be sustained. He will sustain us and get us through. His grace is sufficient. And this sounds great, but at the same time, there's lots of things in our world where we don't know what's going to happen next. And just saying, if someone were to say, "Oh, it's going to be okay, God's grace is sufficient," that sounds wonderful, except for like how? I'm very confused, because what you're telling me is one thing, what I'm seeing is something completely different. And as I was going through my prayer stack, I was reminded of a verse from 2 Corinthians 5. And I want to share it with you and hopefully give you some courage and for a couple different reasons. Let me share the verses. It's verses 6 and 7. So we are always of good courage. We know that while we are at home in the body, we are away from the Lord, for we walk by faith, not by sight. Now, first and foremost, I can tell you that I am not always of good courage. I'll be the first one. I certainly didn't feel like I was in good courage this morning, going through my prayer stack and going through my prayer and just lamenting to God. And God just reminded me, where's your focus? Where is your focus? And how have you been living? Well, today specifically, I was living by sight. And when I look around and see some of the chaos that's in my world, personally, I just want to throw in the towel, be done, move on, just be done, and walk away. Burn it all to the ground and just walk away. But if I'm walking by faith, I can turn to God and I can wholeheartedly say that I trust in God to continue to work in my life, to continue to restore things that have been distorted and messed up and chaotic for so many years, specifically my marriage. but other things as well. And as I continued, to go through my prayer and realizing that, I'm walking and living by sight. Just because I'm not seeing the physical fruit of all the effort that I've been doing, all the work that I've been doing to, realign my heart, realign my focus, and realign my life, and just put God back at the center. I'm not seeing the physical fruit. But I know the reality is there has been fruit. There has been improvement. There has been growth. And seeds, as you've probably heard, seeds take time. And, again, not being of good courage this morning, my question was, well, how freaking long am I going to have to wait? Now, I didn't get an answer, a specific answer of, you got this many days or this many months or years or whatever. But man, I just want to encourage you to continue to walk by faith. If you're not seeing the fruit in your life, I want to say it's going to be over soon. I want to say that you're going to start seeing it soon. But I don't know the answer to that. But I do know we can trust in God and lean not on our own understanding. And unfortunately, again, and I feel this, like, that doesn't tell me when my marriage is going to be restored and renewed, and I'm going to feel like we're finally out of the water. But I see improvements. If I truly look and take a moment to pause and take a moment to see what God has done over the past few months, there is fruit, or there's at least a plant growing, there's a seed growing. And if we take time to pause and to simply look back and see the little things that maybe you didn't notice before, there's a seed, there's growth happening for doing things that God's calling us to do. Now, another thing I want to encourage you on is to the fact that, when we say we walk by faith, not by sight, this doesn't mean we sit around and wait. God is still calling us to act. We are still men of God. We are still leaders. We are still kings. We are called to do what God is calling us to do. And I can't tell you what that is that God's putting on your heart to do. But I know that the action is involved. Some people throw out the verse, "Be still and know that I am God." And you know what? There's days where, yes, we have to be still and just pause and trust in the Lord, because there's nothing else we can do. But at the same time, God has given us the ability and opportunities to do things. We're not called to just sit. We are called to act. Love is an action word. We can't love God, can't love others as we love ourselves without acting, without doing, without abiding. So, if you are struggling and you're not seeing the fruit, I'm going to encourage you, again, to A, continue to walk by faith, and B, continue to walk. Keep moving forward. Whatever it is you got going on, keep moving forward. Walk with God, and He will lead you through it. I guarantee there's things happening that you can't see. There's things happening in my life that I can't see. But as long as we continue to move and love God and love others as ourselves, love ourselves, He's going to get you through it. So men, continue to walk. God bless, and I love you.